This is Turning Point Podcast. I'm your host, Tyrone Stevens. We had part two today of a man shot a police officer, went to prison, and changed his life. Today, we have Mackie Allen doing part two on the man shot a police officer and went to prison. How you doing, Mackie?
I'm doing well, Tyrone.
Well, thanks for coming back on the show, man. We
My
appreciate that.
pleasure, good brother. My pleasure.
Yeah, we're going to start off, Mackie, and get right to it. We're going to start off you getting ready to leave prison. Now, I want to make sure, because I know this is an important part of your story. I want to make sure, now, when you got ready to leave to go to prison, this gentleman who helped you, Hassan, was he alive at this time when you left?
No. Hassan had passed away while I was incarcerated. I ended up at another institution and he ended up at the institution. And so he had passed away, brother. But however, he had left me with vital information, the knowledge, the things that he had imparted with me is still with me.
Okay, and let me ask you a question. Now, at what turning point did you have in prison that where you were going to decide, you decided, say, I'm going to change my life?
Well, it came early. It came early, Tyrone. Initially, when you just going into a new process, or you go into a new environment, I'm in prison. It's the first time I've ever been to prison. And I go into prison, I got a street identity or whatever, I go in with the street mentality or who I think I was in the street. And so wherever I go, that's where I took it. I took that with me. So when I get in there, I got this ego, I got this mentality. And this brother was able to communicate. He was able to penetrate. He was able to knock down that brick wall, right? He was able to penetrate the conscious part of me and make some real sense of things, And the more he would do that from a day-to-day basis, because it was like every day, this brother would hit at me, This brother said, "Hey, man, what's going on, good brother?" When a person began to address you in a certain way that you're not used to, see, I'm used to people calling me by my nicknames and all these other types of stuff. So when a brother started calling you, good brother, at that point, it starts to register somewhere, and make you want to ask questions because, see, this brother was never telling me to do anything. He was always asking me questions. And so I remember one day, I used to look out my dorm window, right? And I see him standing out there. He'll always have a newspaper up under his arm. And I look and I said, man, this dude's still out here. This dude always out here waiting on me. So I went to thinking some things, right? But, it was never what I was thinking it was. This brother was really trying to help, right? And I knew that things had done got different after maybe a month or so of walking around the track and this brother talking and hearing these brothers talking, this program, this Go Lab program that I was in, the things started to sink in. And so one day I found myself looking forward to seeing this brother. This time when I looked out the window, it wasn't, oh man, here he go. I looked out to make sure he was there. I said, oh man, there go Hassan. I'm going out and, I'm going to walk with this brother because some stuff has started to appeal to my conscience. Some things started to register, that made some sense. And I realized that something was happening with me from an intellectual point of view. I started to grow mentally. My spirit started to wake up.
Yeah, let me ask you a question, Mackie. And this is for our audience and a lot of young people who may be listening to us. Were you used to someone helping you, like an older guy you didn't know, someone trying to help you? Were you used to that?
Well, yeah, when you out there in the streets, man, you chasing them streets out there, you got them old brothers out there that have been in the game for a minute. They out there, man, they be sitting up under the trees, they be sitting back. Some may be sipping on a soda, some may be sipping on a brew or some liquor or something, smoking their cigars or cigarettes. And, you go by and you'll see them and you'll say, oh, what's up, Mr. So-and-so, what's that? And you say, hey, man, look here, stay out of them pictures, boy. Stay out of them pictures, fed looking. That's how they trap you. They catch you in them pictures, you're in trouble. Secret indictment. it was that kind of stuff that they had gave me on the street that I didn't want to let go when I got to the penitentiary.
Okay.
Because when you're trying to reform yourself, you don't lose everything. You just have someone that can take it and turn it around and give it to you from a more positive perspective to where you could use it in your potentials as you grow. You don't want to lose the awareness that somebody done gave you. You just want to point it in the right direction.
That's very important for the people listening to understand that's genius five right there to bring that out, Mac. That you just don't change everything. You put it in this perspective. So therefore, if you was a successful person in the streets doing wrong, you can use that same success in doing right.
Yeah.
That's ingenuity. You can use that. That's very important that you brought that out. Now, moving on from prison into the world, how was your transition when you first got out after doing 26 years?
Well, the transition actually, Tyrone, it started in the penitentiary, right? With me knowing that once I had went to the parole board and the people told me that they had given me a date to be released. Okay, inside they have what they call an EOS package, the end of sentence package. Okay, so that's supposed to be the thing that's gonna get you ready to go into society, get you reacclimated, and then they're gonna tell you about the resources and where you could go to find housing or where you could do this. But really, packages is feeble, man. If you don't have something, a working idea coming out of the penitentiary, other than just the information that they give you in the EOS package, you're gonna come out and you're gonna struggle real hard. And if you ain't got some family or somebody out there, some friends out there, understand that know what you're coming out to point you in those directions, then it's going to be difficult. See, the difference with me and a lot of other people that I had seen return was that they went out, they left prison going out looking for a life. I left prison taking a life with me. See, I had a program. I had sat down.
What do you mean by taking a life with you? Mac.
Well, it wasn't like I was just going out and I'm looking for some handouts. I ain't coming out of the prison and I'm looking for everybody to do something for me. I'm ready for society. I was geared up here and in my heart to make it in society. Y'all done gave me a chance. Y'all done broke the strand, right? And so now here I am. I'm no longer on a yo-yo. I'm finna be on my own. I'm finna come out of this world and I ain't coming to lean on my daughters, which was both adults at that time. I ain't finna come out and try to lean on my ex-wife, who was the mother of my children. I ain't finna come out and try to lean on my mother, none of this. And they had sent me to a whole different area than where I was from anyway. I was from Pensacola, Florida in Escambia County. They sent me to Bradenton in Manatee County. They sent me to a rehab program, basically. And so I ended up in the Salvation Army. But the thing that I had and the advantage that I had over some of the people in the Salvation Army was that I had my Redefine program. I had structured a little Redefine program and a daily exchange program and a po' boy cash pocket. These were the things, these were my tools that I was going to implement to get on my feet once I got to the social structure. I wasn't going to just come out looking and depending on nobody, asking for anything. I'm going to get out because now the rubber meets the road and I got to get the wheels turning.
Okay, so would it be safe to say that you came out of prison saying to yourself, I'm going to make it by any legitimate means necessary?
Well, I didn't come out saying it. I come out doing it. It was in my heart, man. It was in my heart. It was in my mind. I came out doing it. I wasn't saying it. I came out doing it. And I realized this, right? That once I hit the street, ain't no turning back. See, we ain't going back to the joint no more. And that was for two reasons. For one, I wanted to get out and get to a place to where I could help my family. But I knew I had to help me. So when I came out, I had all my vital statistics. I had my social security card. I had an extra ID and all that stuff. And the minute I got out, I went and got another ID. I had all the things that I needed to say that I was out. I had my release papers from the parole board. I had all these things that in case I was stopped by the police or in case somebody questioned me about my identity, I could provide some identification.
You had these before you came out of prison?
Yeah. I had a classification officer, man, and I spoke to her. I said, listen, Miss So-and-so and such and such. I ain't going to call her name, but I said, look, I need to have my social security card. And I said, I need to have a ID card other than a prison card. Even though I had a prison ID, I had another prison ID that showed that was current, right? I ain't talking about the first ID that I got. I had another one. They gave me another ID at the end that was current.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean? So I had that identification to show that I am Mackie Allen. And then I had the social identification from being paroled out the prison to show that I am Mackie Allen. I had my release papers. You get what I'm saying? So I had all this information, and I had it in a little pack so that I had my birth certificate and all of that. So that when I come out, I had goals. I had plan. I have a plan that I was going to implement and make work. I didn't come out with nothing. I didn't come out and then when I got outside, go get my birth certificate. When I got outside, go get my social security card. I went and got an ID. Look, this is how I functioned when I got out, brother. When I got out, they brought me to a place called the Jim Russo House. The first thing the guy told me when he came and got me, he said, I got good news and bad news. I said, all news the same to me. He said, well, what you want first? I said, just give me the news. He said, you're going to a good place to stay. We got a lot of structure there. We help you the much best we can. There's food there. You don't have to worry about buying food and none of that. But in Manatee County, there are no jobs. You're going to probably have to apply for your SSI or whatever, but it's just initially. He said, but there's no work. Okay, in my mind, he was talking to me, and I was saying to myself, well, it ain't no work for you. You got a job. Ain't no work for me. I got to have a job. I got some things that I need to do. I had been 26 years in prison, and in 26 days, I kid you not, in 26 days, I had 3 jobs.
Okay, right there, Mackie, I've heard a lot of young people. I got relatives myself as younger people come out of prison, and they have excuses by, I can't get out don't no bus line run out there. I can't do this. I don't have a car. I don't have this and I don't have that. What I'm hearing you're saying, Mackie, is that you come out with, it don't make no difference what's coming down. You got in your mind that you're going to make it by any means necessary.
But see, in my belief system, it was this in my belief system. See, I had just come from the hard part. During them 26 calendar years, that quarter of a century that I spent behind bars, that was hard.
So the stuff you was facing now being out was
so when I came out, my mentality was this right here. Ain't nothing gonna be hard for me from now on.
Oh, man.
I had a mentality that said, it ain't gonna be hard for me now on. So they did do this at the Jim Russo house. They gave us a bus pass. So that morning I get up and do my chores. By 5:30, 6 o'clock, I'm standing at the bus station to catch the first bus come through. So I go over to Bradenton Harold. The people said, when I walked up, there was some guys standing on the platform. I came up and I said, the guy said, hey, man, what's your name? Who you looking for? I said, man, I came to get a job, man. I said, I'm looking to get a job. The dudes that was back there, I can remember it real well. The dudes that were back there said, man, I don't know if they was hating on me or what. I guess they were trying to give me some vital information. I don't know. But the dude told one of the dudes, said, they ain't hiring, man. So they ain't hiring, man. I've seen people come in here, man, and they ain't getting them no work. I said, well, who I have to see? And one dude said, I told you, man, they ain't hiring, but you can go in there and waste your time if you want. None of that was a block for me. What you saying going in one ear, out the other? Because I'm seeing you how I seen them older dudes when I first got in the penitentiary who weren't really talking about nothing, who didn't know how to reach me. They weren't talking about the thing that could capture my attention, right? So I said, well, who I supposed to see? He said, see that hallway right there? Go down that hallway and turn right. And on your right-hand side, you'll see an office. You'll see a thing that's got office out there. There'll be a dude in there named Dwight. A white dude. I said, all right. I said, I'm going in there. I'm going to go see. I went on down the hallway, turned. I looked through the glass window. The dude was sitting up behind the desk. I tapped on the door. He looked up, he seen me. He baked me in. He said, yeah. He said, how can I help you? I said, sir, I said, this is just what I told him. I said, sir, I said, I just got out of prison. I said, I did 26 years in prison. I said, my life is completely different. I'm not the same person. I said, my parole officer, Sandy Hotwagon, told me that if I don't get a job within 30 days, that she gonna send me back to prison. I said, man, I did 26 years in prison. I said, I gotta work at I said, matter of fact, I said, if you just give me a chance, you ain't even got to pay me. Just give me 2 weeks to show you what I can do on this job right here, right? Whatever you tell me to do, I'll show you that I can do it. You ain't even got to pay me. I'll work for free. The dude say, what? I said, I'll work for free. Hassan hadn't already told me in the penitentiary, if you want to get on in any job, he said, just go volunteer your services for free. Right. I didn't forget that. I volunteered my service for free. The dude said, you willing to work for free? I said, yeah, man. I said, I just want to show you, man, that I'm willing to do the right thing out here. The dude stood up and he said, God damn. He reached out there and shook my hand. He said, you know what? He said, I've seen a lot of guys coming here from prison. He said, you the first one ever did this. He said, all right. He said, I tell you what, I'm gonna give you a chance. He said, but I'm gonna pay you. He said, I ain't gonna let you work for free. He said, I ain't gonna let you work for free because it's against the law. He said, I appreciate you wanting to volunteer. I'm gonna give you a chance. He said, I'm gonna start you out at $12.50. And he said, okay, I got a position for you. He took me and he showed me this little place where all the stuff be coming in these big boxes. Boxes was everywhere, all over the place, right? He said, I want you to make sure that this area right here stay free from clutter. Shoot, he came back 2 hours later. I had to cut down all them boxes, have them stacked up, had a band around them. They were ready to go in the little bin where he was at. And the dude looked at the dude and said, man, I ain't never seen this storehouse look like this in a long time. I said, I'm ready to go to work, man. And I would say 60 days later, the dude gave me a raise, gave me a whole dollar. Coming out of the penitentiary, I know that didn't seem like much at that particular time, but coming out of the penitentiary where you can work all day for nothing and you ain't getting paid nothing, at the end of the year, Christmas, they give you $5 and a bag of fruits. You know, so $13.50 an hour, understand me, looked like gravy for me because it was just me. Yeah, it was just me, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so that wasn't the end of it, Tyrone. That was not the end of it. I messed around and went to this church that very next Sunday. I went to this church, right? And on my way to church, I was walking to it because it wasn't far from the place that I was living. And a dude was rolling a bicycle out there to put it on the side of the road for the trash truck to get it. I said, hey, man, I said, that bicycle work? He said, yeah, it works. So you just need to put some oil on the chain. So it got air in the tire. He said, what, you want it? I said, yeah. He said, you can have it. I got on and rode it to church. You know, I got on and rode it up to church. I get into church. I meet a dude by the name of Glenn. And this brother had his own floor cleaning service. And he said, man, what's your name? And I told him I was just getting out. He said, well, what kind of work you do? I said, I do a whole lot of work. He said, you know how to clean floors? I said, yeah. I said, I know how to use buffer, all of that stuff. I said, I know how to strip wax floors. I said, I know how to burnish floors, all of that. He said, you do? I said, yeah. He said, well, hey, look. He said, this is my card. He said, I work at night, though. I said, that's okay. I ain't telling him about the job that I had at the place at Bradenton Harrow where they said he wasn't going to hire me at. I didn't tell him that. When I went down to see him that next evening, he sent a guy by the name of Frank to pick me up. Frank came and picked me up. Okay. The next night, I rolled down there on a bicycle. I went straight from Bradenton Harrow there on a bicycle. I got there and he looked, he said, man, he said, you rode that bicycle from Bradenton Harrow? He said, Frank told me, said you had a job at Bradenton Harrow. I said, yeah. He said, you rode that bicycle from Bradenton Harrow down here? I said, yeah. He said, man, you really want to work bad, don't you? I said, yeah, man. I said, I got to make things happen, man. I said, I'm 48 years old, man. I said, I got to make it happen. He said, well, he said, I tell you what. He said, you got a driver's license? I said, no. He said, get you a driver's license, so I'm going to let you drive that van. 2 weeks later, I had a driver's license. Now I got 2 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now we talking about in a series of like 4 weeks. You know what I'm saying?
Working these jobs, there's two jobs, two in one day.
I go to Bradenton Harrow in the morning. I get there at 6 o'clock. I go to work at 6:30. I start doing what I do at 6:30. I get off at 3. I get down there to Sarasota Total Floor Care at 5 o'clock. Get in the van with Frank and go to work. In the mornings, we might get off like from like say 5 o'clock to like 1:32.
In the morning.
He'll put my bike in the back of the van, drop me off at the Jim Russo house. I go in there, put my alarm clock on. 5:30, I'm up again, and I'm headed back over to Bradenton Harrow. So once
Wow.
I got the van, I started working at Odessa Auction. I started on weekends, I started, washing cars and detailing cars. I was making money hand over fist before I knowed it with my po' boy package because I was just a saving my money. All my checks was going in before I knowed it in the first, like, I would say like the first 3 to 4 months, man, I had a nice little bank account, man. I had some
Mm-hmm.
thousands of dollars. I'm talking about $6,000, $7,000 in the bank.
And what length of time was that?
That was in Bradenton, Florida, Manatee County.
What length of time you accumulated the money?
That was like 3 to 4 months.
Oh,
You
that's
know,
amazing.
I had to went from the Salvation Army to the Jim Russo house. They had to change my parole officer. Sandy Hot Wagner was no longer my parole officer because she got real arrogant with me. She said I was too ambitious. She told me, because when I got out of prison, man, I was good and healthy and everything. Like, I gained my weight back and I was doing pretty good.
She said you were too ambitious.
Yeah, she said I was too ambitious and too arrogant. So I asked her why she said that. She said, I want you to take that earring out your ear, because I had an earring in my ear. She said, I want you to cut them waves out your head. She said, if you don't, you will go back. All right, I done been out here all this while. You've been seeing this ain't the first time you've seen the earring and the waves. I report to you. You made sure you told me to report to you every Friday. I reported to her every weekend with a list, read out what I did the whole day from what hours to what. She knew I had 2 jobs. I was doing well. I wasn't messing around. I wasn't hanging out. I wasn't doing nothing. When I go to work, if I ain't working, I was resting. Because I was on a mission, man. I had something I want to do. I wasn't trying to knock off no chicks. I wasn't trying to do none of that. I wasn't trying to get with no ladies or none of this. I was on a mission. I needed to get myself established in society. I had to got me a bank account. I had to put things together in that bank account. I had my ID. I had to join a credit union. I had met a brother by the name of Sherrod Halliburton, one of the best help that I had ever got in Bradenton came from that brother there. Okay.
Now,
So,
Bradenton, talking about the county you were in?
yeah, Bradenton, Florida. The county is Manatee County.
Okay. This is a town.
Yeah, this is a town in Florida, in between Sarasota and St. Pete. So when I met this brother, Sherrod Halliburton, I had been hearing about this brother. And I had got connected with some other people that were doing some community stuff. A sister by the name of Shavonna Griffin, Shavonna Bailey at the time. She's Shavonna Griffin now, amazing sister. And this brother that they call Wayne Weasley, Gigolo Weasley. And they were doing things, in the program. And so this brother talked with me one day and asked me to come down and talk at his little program that he had in CCRE, Central Community Redevelopment Agency. And I was there. And so they was telling me about this brother, Sherrod Halliburton, who give brothers a chance.
Okay.
I hadn't heard about him. And so somebody had been telling him about me. And we had them pass by each other in the hallway, didn't even know who each other were. And so one day I come out of there and I walked in and I seen the secretary in there. And I seen this dude sitting in his room. So I didn't know who he was. And I went in and I talked to the secretary. And I said, is Sherrod here? She said, yeah. She said, he's in his office. She said, you want to see him? I said, yeah. She went in and talked to him. After a while, she came out and told me to come in. I came in. And so he was sitting down. He was at his desk. And so I came in, he got up and he shook my hands. My name is Sherrod Halliburton. I said, my name Mac Allen. He sat down, he went back to his paperwork. He went out, not even really looking up at me. He said, how can I help you? I said, I come to see how can I help you? He stopped what he was doing. He looked at me, he said, what? I said, I come to see how can I help you? What can I do to help my community? I come to volunteer my service. The dude put his hand on his chin. He said, you asking me what I can do, what you can do for me? You know, how you can help me? He said, most people come in here asking me for help. He said, I ain't never had nobody come in here and ask me if they needed, if I needed their help. He said, sit down. I said, I was standing up when I talking to him, right? He said, sit down. He said, what you mean? I said, well, anything that I can do, I want to volunteer my service. He said, well, what you good at? And I just told him, I said, well, man, I just got out of prison. I just told him the truth. He said, wow, he said, that's an amazing story. Said, that's a good story. He said, can you come back tomorrow? I said, yeah. I came back that next day, but I had to go see my parole officer that same day. And so when I went to see my parole officer, for whatever reason, right, they had to switch my parole officer. They told me that this new dude, Shed Stevenson, was going to be my parole officer. This is a brother. I meet this brother. This brother tell me, he said, hey, man, he said, they switch you over, man. He said, because I'm going to tell you, so I'm going to be honest with you. He said, you was dealing with classic bigotry. He said, she's an ex-police officer. Your records say that you shot a police officer, so she was being biased toward. He said, but she's a good person. He said, so what we did, we switched cases. I'm your parole officer now. Okay. He said, man, he said, look, he said, if you go back, it'll be because of something that you do. He said, so I see. He said, you got 3 jobs. I said, yeah. I said, the dude told me to come back because he want me to work for him too. He said, 4 jobs?
What do you want to give you a 4th job?
Yeah, yeah. He said, 4 jobs. He said, look, he said, I'm gonna tell you what. He said, you're gonna have to get rid of 1 or 2 of these jobs. He said, because that's too much. So I stopped doing Odessa auction, washing the cars on the weekend.
Right.
He said, go and check out the other job, tell me what it's like, see what it's about, and tell me what it's like, and then we'll go from there. I go back, I see Sherrod Halliburton. This dude asked me, he said, hey, man, he said, you got an automobile? I said, no, I said, I ain't got one, not yet. I'm still riding a bicycle, but I done got my license. So I go and I talk to my buddy Glenn, and I tell my buddy Glenn that this dude at CCROA, Sherrod Halliburton, he know of him. He said, yeah, he said, that's a good dude, man. He said, that's a good dude. He said, that dude will help you a lot. He said, I said, but I ain't got no transportation. He said, well, okay, I'll tell you what. He said, did you get your license? I said, yeah, I got my license. He said, why you ain't come back and tell me? I said, I had told Frank. He said, well, Frank didn't let me know. He said, let me see your license. I showed him my license and everything. He took that. He did whatever he needed to do to make sure that I'd be on the insurance and everything. And then he gave me the key and told me, he said, as long as you here for me to work with me, and he said, I'll call you and tell you where to go at on the job. Instead of you coming here, you just go to the job. Okay, so I go back and I see this dude, Sherrod Halliburton. This dude tell me, he said, man, he said, first of all, he said, when you come to work, he said, I want you to be, conventional. I'm wearing a tie and a shirt, conventional shoes. And I'm coming back and I'm a liaison person. I'm going to other programs telling them about what CCRA is offering other program. At that time, they were dealing with the Vera literacy. So now here it is, I got 3 jobs. I done let go of 1 and I got 3 jobs. It was people in this area who had been here all their lives, wasn't doing as well as I was doing. And I had just gotten out of prison and hadn't been out of prison a good 6 months yet. Had a car. Then I called home and my mom told me, said, well, your brother left your car. Robert left your car. He left you that Lexus. I went and talked to Shed Stevenson, my parole officer. He gave me a pass to go home to get the car. I went and got the car, gave the van. I still had the van. The van was parked at the Jim Russo house where I was at. They had to move me from the Salvation Army over to the Jim Russo house. I was doing so well over there. They said I was setting a bad example because the other people around us were saying they couldn't find no job. I was up and down. I had 3, doing real well. There wasn't but 2 people in the whole house that was working. That was me and a dude named Jose. Everybody else was trying to get SSI. I didn't want no handouts. I just wanted people to give me a shot at life. I already had how I was going to save my money. I already had what I was going to do daily to change certain behaviors. I started wearing these little bands. I had these little bands that I was putting on. I think I might have one around here somewhere, but I don't. I don't see one on my desk nowhere. But I had these little bands that I would take and put on my hand, right? And I would take and I would write what habit I was wanting to break. Like complacency. I had wrote complacency on it. I took some tape, taped it on there. And you know, I got it on my arm so that I can look at it every day. I could see it every day. Complacency. Don't be complacent. Don't put things off for tomorrow. And I had a disciplined life. You know, I was living because I was aimed at something, Tyrone. Mm-hmm. And then I met one of the brothers that I had raised up in prison myself. You know, I went to this place they call this church that they had this program called 100 Men's for Change. God told me about it.
What was the name of it again?
100 Men's for Change.
Okay.
By Bishop Dexter McDonald. I go down to the program, I walk in, and I sit down, and as I was walking in, one of the brothers looked back and he called my name. He said, Rashid. And I said, yeah, brother. I looked and he come hug me. And so he told this dude, Bishop McDonald, he said, this is the dude that taught me the stuff that I be talking about in here. And his name was Octavius Cummins. And this brother connected with me, and we connected, and we started doing things. We started going to little community events, talking and sharing and talking about unity and talking about the corruption that we had seen in the streets. I hadn't been out. When I first got out, Tyrone, I had not been out but 7 weeks. And I saw it was 7 murders, a murder every week. The first 7 weeks I was out right here in Manatee County. And so I was saying to myself, wow, what's going on? And this sister that I was telling you about, Shavonna Bailey, she was setting up these little things where she was talking in the communities and everything. And I got introduced to her, and Octavius and I started working and collaborating with her and Gigolo Weezy and what have you. And before you know it, she had us before people talking and sharing and saying things in the community. And so Rashid became a household name in this area. People were seeing me and calling me Brother Rashid, Brother Rashid, Brother Rashid. Hey, Brother Rashid, what's up? Old school, what's going on? This, that, and the other. And I would always stop, take time out and talk with a brother. I don't care what they was doing. I would stop and talk to them. I remember one day I stepped up under the hood, right? Well, I was in the hood, and I stepped up under this tree where someone was hanging out at. And I saw a few guys under there that I knew. And so I stepped up under there, old school, what's going on? I said, hey, man, I said, what's happening with y'all, man? I said, you know, y'all hanging out around these trees. I said, you be seeing them, you see that car over there, man? I said, that dude filming y'all, man. They said, where? I said, over there, see over there at the car wash? I said, it's a dude in there, white dude in there, man, he filming y'all. I said, he watching all y'all activity, man. I said, why y'all out here in the open and doing what y'all doing? I don't condone none of this. I said, but don't be stupid doing what you're doing. Because I knew this, Tyrone. I knew this. I knew I couldn't tell them to lay down whatever they was doing without trying to say something to them to make sense. If you're going to tell a person not to get money, you need to know how to tell them how to get money.
That's right.
See? So I said, so man, I said, why y'all just out here like this, man? I said, y'all can't get all the money, man. I said, y'all got to start watching your environment, man. I said, because whenever they throw down up under this tree, I said, you can believe this guy that's running this store, he telling them about y'all. Them cameras he got up around here, they looking at all y'all activities. They got y'all up close and personal. And so whenever they would see me, right, they would, oh, what's up, Brother Rashid, this, that, and the other, whatever. You know, I had a few of them, you know, talk about, hey, man, Brother Rashid, man, hey, man, you all right, man? Here you go. I would never take nothing from them. whether it was money or whatever. I'd never take nothing from him. I said, no, man, I'm good. And I throw my hands up like this because I know this camera, y'all outside this store, this camera up, man. Y'all ain't finna hook me up with this right here. I said, man, no, man, don't give me nothing, man. I said, I'm cool. I said, I got money. I said, I got me a job, place to stay and everything, man. I appreciate it, man. I love you. And I embrace them, I hug them and everything and all this other kind of stuff. I said, but man, these cameras gonna kill y'all.
Right.
And so one day I come through there and sure enough, they had them jacked it up under there. So when I no longer seen them hanging out up under there, I know they had them come through and cleared out the spot.
Well, Mackie, let me ask you something. So the job that you have now, how long have you had that job?
It's been 6 years.
Okay. So
well, it's going on 6 years. October of this year will be 6 years.
So was that another job that you elevated?
Well, at that time, prior to that, I had those other jobs that I had at CCRA and what have you and all that. I got with that brother Sherrod, and then I got, he showed me how to use the. At this time, Obama hadn't became president. And he had the stimulus package going and what have you. And through that stimulus package, there was other little programs that you can get in and what have you. But you had to go through the programs in order to benefit from them. A lot of people didn't realize that. So, they was waiting on the stimulus package to just come to the mail. But you had to do something. You had to go through the red tape to get the benefit of it. And so I did. I benefited from the stimulus package. I ended up with my own business, carpet cleaning business. I bought a van, I bought me a carpet cleaner and all that stuff. I bought me some floor cleaning materials, and I started doing pretty good for myself. And I finally got into some relationships, but I wasn't locked in the relationship as if, okay, I'm trying to lock down with a chick. This is going to be my babe, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and I'm finna lock in and all this kind of stuff. It was good to have a relationship, but something that I noticed about the sisters in this area, right? It was like they wanted a good man and didn't know what to do with one. In other words, they was talking about, girl, you got the training. Training? I mean, ain't no training. What the hell you mean, training? Ain't no training. This ain't a bicycle where you put training wheels on it. We ain't doing none of that. And so what it did, it put me in a position to where is that I knew that I ain't the kind of dude you finna condition like that. For real. You ain't gonna condition me to be a person that'll cater to your feminine desires because you feminine. I'm a man, you're a woman. What we do for each other ain't necessarily gender specific. The only thing that we do that's gender specific is be a partner to the next person. But other than that, if it's some stuff that's got to be done in this relationship, we need to understand that we can do that. So what happened was this, Tyrone. I stayed focused in my job areas. And so some opportunities came for me to get some better jobs. And so I did. I stopped working here. I stopped working there. And I ended up working at the VA National Cemetery because I'm a veteran. I ended up working for a company called Native Contractors. And we were down there, we would set headstones and participate in the military burials and stuff like that. Good job, making decent money. And not only did I have that job, I had like 2 contracts with a couple of the restaurants around here to where I would go in and like Golden Corral. There was 5 of these locations in this area. 2 of them I was doing. I would go in at night. I would clean the carpet at night, go to work in the morning, come back that night and clean. And I was making decent money. They would pay me every 2 weeks. It was every 3rd week. They would pay me $1,200 to come in and clean the carpet. So that was like $2,400 that I'd be making just off of those jobs, right? A month. Not talking about, the additional money. So I didn't realize, and I looked by myself, monthly, I was bringing in like close to $5,000 a month.
Pretty good money.
Yeah. And the thing was that I didn't have big expenses. I wasn't clubbing. I wasn't running the street. I would just try to do what I could do. And then my mother passed. My daughter called me and told me my mother was down bad, man. And I had to go home, man, and take care of that. Me and my daughter, we got together, man, made sure my mother was put away decently. And I just haven't looked back, man, since I got out, Tyrone. I
Well,
haven't thought about not being productive in the social structure.
well, Mackie, I want to say this here with all honesty, all sincerity. You not only a good positive role model for a person coming out of prison. This is you not only that, you're definitely that beyond a shadow of a doubt. But you also is a positive role model for anybody that's trying to make it. Because the principles that you came out of prison with, that you developed while you were in prison, according on what I got out of what you're saying, you demonstrated these principles out here in the world, and you are a role model for, like I said, anybody that's trying to do something. People come over here from other countries, and they came from a poverty-stricken situation, wasn't making no money, used to, begging for food. This was a way of life in some places in the world. And when they get to America and they see America, and they say, "Oh my God, this is honey here." And they just go to work in 2, 3 jobs and this and that. And before you know, they didn't came up.
Yeah.
This is what you're doing here. And you said that in the prison system, they didn't have what you would call any type of real rehabilitation program that a person could really put all their eggs in that basket and say, "Well, I'm going to let these people rehabilitate me." According on what I got out of what you said, they didn't have a lot of that. If a person didn't take the personal initiative himself, to develop these things about rehabilitating himself, like how you were saying that you did, that, if he didn't do that, then chances are that he wasn't going to be rehabilitated. However he came in, that's how he's going to come out.
Well, see, the state of Florida had to start cutting that out anyway. The education department, you could only get 150 hours of that basic education thing. And they had already taken out things like the college courses or whatever you couldn't solicit. And so you had to go to a private institution to kind of like get associated with that. But then when I got to the private institutions, I come to find out that this private institution, there wasn't a whole lot activities there for you either, as far as educational and vocational education that you could get that would actually help you get out. And like I told you, the EOS package that they had, the end of sentence package that they had, just kind of like help release you on, it wasn't even feasible. It really wasn't. It was just something that they was doing to cover themselves, to make it seem as if, okay, so this is what we're doing. This is what we're required as Department of Corrections. So this is what we're doing. We have fulfilled our obligations to a person that's getting out. So it was on the individual that was coming out of prison to really just when the rubber meets the road to get the road.
Yeah. Well, you certainly have explained that in most states where they have a heavy population of Hispanic people and Black people, most states like that, they don't have a rehabilitation program. The same thing goes on in Florida, goes on in a lot of different states. So I'm not saying it goes on in all states, but I'm saying it goes on in a lot of states. Mackie, here at Turning Point Podcast, we certainly appreciate a gentleman like yourself coming on this program. I don't know. You said you've done a lot of work in the community and so forth. Listen, here, man, I take my hat off to you with all sincerity. You really touched me, man. I mean, when I first met you, you touched me, man. That to have, like I said, I've seen a lot of people come out of prison, and say they were going to do this and do that while they were in prison. But when they got out, including myself, when they got out, we done the same thing that we done before we went in there, and to hear you and how you stay focused from the day you got out and went and asked for a job and told the man that you would work for nothing. You showed your sincerity to that man, and whatever was in his heart, he couldn't just hold that back. He said, man, I got to get this man a break, man. You know what I mean? And you're such a positive role model, man, and I don't say that. And I want you to get your accolades from that. I mean, whatever you do and wherever you go to tell your story, man, you have, and I know you know that. I'm just saying, you being on Turning Point Podcast, I just want to say that we appreciate you. Definitely by far has been the most positive person that we had on this program. We ain't had a lot of people, but I know that you're going to be one of the most positive persons, period, because what you have did, only a few people come out and talking about doing whatever's necessary to be done. Not that you're the only one, but I'm saying a whole lot of people, you get repeats, they go back in prison and so forth. Because if nothing changed, nothing changes. So they do the same.
Yeah, that's true.
Results. And you have demonstrated you did something different, man. You did something different. And wherever you go, I can, from the bottom of my heart, to say that I feel that you're going to do good, and the people they need to hear your message. Your message need to be heard on ABC, NBS. I mean, all the major news channels and communication outlets that they have. Mackie Allen, you need to be, that story needs to be heard, because it is a success story. It is a story that you don't really hear every day. Especially coming from a person that came out of prison. Now, I see a lot of foreigners, man. They come over here, man, and they do good, because this is like the bird nest on the ground to them, man. They ain't never seen nothing like this. They say, oh my God, this is the land of the plenty. What we heard about America is true. They come over here and they do good. And a lot of people say, foreigners, they got another opportunity than what we have and so forth, but they got something that a lot of people don't demonstrate, which you have demonstrated, and you have come on here and showed that you and talked about you demonstrated, and that's having personal initiative. And this at Turning Point Podcast, we talk about, this is about the art of living, man, and you are living, man. You live and living color, brother. You're the same, man.
Well, one of the things that I also wanted to mention was that when I was working at CCRA and I was working for Sherrod Halliburton, and I mentioned to him what was going on with 100 Men's for Change. All right, we had this list because they were doing the VISTA program up there, and the VISTA program was where that they was actually helping certain people understand who was unfortunate and who was less fortunate than most people. And they was trying to help them get jobs and things like that. So they had a list of jobs that they can go to and seek hiring. And a lot of these jobs didn't really go into your background very deep. And I had one of those sheets, and I would go to 100 Men's for Change, right? And I would go, and at first I presented the list to the people that was operating there. And come to find out, the guy was telling me, say, hey, man, these people ain't getting us this list, man, and telling us about these jobs. So what I did, I started getting them my phone numbers, and I started getting copies, right? And what I would do, I would highlight certain jobs, right? And I would call them, and I would tell them, all right, go to this place, go to this place, go to this place, go check out this place right here. And this is what you want to do. You want to go in. And that's how I got every job that I ever had in this area. I came and volunteered my services, except for the job that I'm on right now.
Mm-hmm.
It was recommended to these people by a friend of mine that I was a reputable person, had a great background in working, great work ethics. And that's how I got this job. Okay. So now for early on, man, I don't know how many people I don't help got a job. I'm talking about young people or brothers who had got out. And that's what fed my ambition to want to help brothers and sisters that was getting out to get reacclimated into the social structure because I knew what it took and I knew how to go about it. And a lot of these brothers I was talking to and I was telling them, hey, look, man, you can't get back, man, and hang out with the same people, understand that didn't look out when you were down. People see you out here and then you get out of the penitentiary. Hey, boy, we glad to see you and all that old rigmarole and all this old kind of stuff. But while you was down, understand me, they didn't look out. Now all of a sudden you out and you think you need to hang out with these people who didn't look out when you were down. And I used to tell them, man, that ain't gonna do nothing but send you back. You throwing another rock at the joint, man. Stay focused on what you're doing. Keep moving forward, man. And get your life together. I'm gonna show you how to make your money flip over every year and everything.
Well, Mackie, listen, before we close out here, I want to ask you a question here. Are you doing a program right now yourself to give back what you have learned and what you have developed since you come home from prison? Are you doing that now?
Yes, I'm in the process of structuring that. That's what I'm doing. I'm in the process of structuring it. And the thing is that I want to be able to collaborate with certain people to where it's that I could also be a deterrent for brothers who have these little bit of minor petty cases, because they have what they call drug court around here, right? Okay. And I want to be able to aim at them so that I could possibly prevent a brother from going to the joint, a sister from going to the joint for a petty get high case. You got caught with some marijuana, you got caught with a couple of rocks, or whatever it is, understand me, that's not a serious case, that's a minor case that they catch time for. Because see, a lot of the white people around this area, when you go to drug court, you see all the white folks' children in there. They getting the breaks. All right, we need to get the breaks too. And so I want to get together and put together a facility, and I want to be able to collaborate with those particular facilities so that I can have a place where they can come and get themselves together, treat their condition and everything, man, and then turn their life around, man, and do something different with their life other than get high and go to the joint, and then create a recidivism, a revolving door into the penitentiary. And then at the same time, the youth in the neighborhood understand and be able to address some of the issues that they got. And that's what my ambition is, man. And so I write about that situation consistently. I'll say that consistently. I write about that situation on how to get it lined up and things like that. I also want to be able to do a podcast of basically something of what you're doing here. And I want to get a program situated to where is that, the convenience of it is, I can hit them up on the Zoom platform and they can come in and we'll have a collective environment to where is that people show up on the Zoom platform and we can deal with some things that they can do, understand, and get their life together and and maintain their freedom.
Well, Mackie, let me say this here. Whatever we can do at Turning Point Podcast to help you in your endeavor to carry this program that you got in mind, bring into fruition. Is it anywhere that someone can get in touch with you that may be listening to us now, may want some help from you, may want to help you, may want to contribute some finance to get you started and so forth, because you have such an amazing story, man, that I know. And I ain't just saying this here just to be saying it. I'm saying this here because whoever listening, if they got ears and can hear, they have heard a man who have come out of prison after doing 26 years, turn his life around with nothing but himself. He come out, in a desire to make it, in regards to what's happening. Now, there are some people out here that got resources who want to help people, but they don't know how to get in touch with a person that's serious enough, where they can put up their money and time, and you definitely fit that description. So they can get in touch with us through Turning Point Podcast. They can leave something. Or if it's a way that you want to say how to get in touch with you, that you can leave now, feel free to do so. Because, brother, let me tell you something. Don't take this lightly. Some people who didn't heard you today, they're going to get with you, man. Because I heard a lot of different stories in life, but I haven't heard one uh, touching and fulfilling and helpful, and you demonstrated so much the will to make it, irregardless of what's happening. You just wanted a chance. You've been gone 26 years and you just wanted a chance. You don't hear that story every day, man. You don't hear you hear some movies they make up about that in Hollywood or something, but in real life. So if it's somewhere that someone can reach you, to help you in furtherance.
Well, I have a phone number.
Your thoughts.
I have a phone number and an email at this particular moment. And if necessary, I can put it in the chat for you.
I don't know how, when this go on social media, I can't say how the chat thing work.
Well, what I could do, I could always send you ways and means of how to get in touch with me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, you can see it. Well, hold it still. BLD, Better Life Dynamics. Mackie Allen, 59 at gmail.com. And that's 941-565-0037. Mackie Allen, life coach. Okay, one way to
on the back, it tells you, the certification.
We definitely here at Turning Point, and that's what we're about helping people in the story that you just told us, brother, in your story, man, that you have developed. The world needs to hear this here, man, and I'm sure some people going to be getting in touch with you, man, and whatever we can do to help. And we've been knowing one another for a short period of time now, and it's an honor. And I gratefully appreciate you coming on Turning Point Podcast and telling your story, because you definitely got a success story. And thank you so much, and we appreciate that. And on Turning Point Podcast, we want you to hit that subscribe button, and we want to make some comments, hit the like button, and share this video with your friends, because your children needs to hear this. If you got children that's coming out of the prison system, or you got relatives that have been in the prison system, or you got neighbors, or you run across somebody, tell them to look at this Turning Point Podcast. Tyrone Stevens, that's how you can pull it up. And you can find Mackie Allen on there as a life coach. And if it's some people that's trying to help a situation that Mackie has developed within himself and help further that, you can. There's plenty of money around looking for a home to somebody that's sincere and down to earth like you are, and who have developed a situation in life that you created your own success from within. You made a decision that you was going to change no matter what. And that's what you're doing. And the Turning Point Podcast, again, we'll say thank you, Mackie Allen, for being on our show. And we wish you well, man. And if anything,
my brother,
let us know.
Thank you, brother, for inviting me. And it was certainly my pleasure.
Thank you. And at Turning Point Podcast, we see you later. We're out. Thank you.
Okay.